In this lesson, we're going to look at the solution to the 10 by 10 grid challenge. Now, if you recall, the challenge was to simply create a 10 by 10 grid pattern using a little bit of HTML, CSS, and PHP. If you recall also, I said there might be an issue when you come to style the cells that you get this double border here, the gap in between the cells, and you need to get rid of that so you have something like this. So let's go ahead and see how we code the solution. So here I am in Visual Studio Code, and I think the first thing I'm going to do is just create my two files, the index.php and the style.css. There I've got a folder for my 10 by 10 grid. Click on to create a new file, index.php, and I'll create a second one, and the second one will be style.css. Now in my index.php, I want to start with some very basic HTML code. And to do that, because we've got Emma installed in Visual Studio Code, all I need to do is just to type in an exclamation mark and press the tab key. And there I have my basic outline. The title, well, let's just change this title. I'll call it 10 by 10 grid. And in the body section here, this is where my code for the table, those cells, is going to go. And I'll start with a table tag. Inside my table, I know I'm going to have 10 table rows. And within each of those, I'm going to have 10 table cells. Now, I could code this quite easily with Emmet. And I could do it very, very quickly. But I want to use some PHP. And the way we do that is as follows. So I'm going to have my opening and closing PHP tags. Inside the tag, this is where I want to start a loop for the table rows. So for something to be true, I'm going to do something. In here, this is the first loop for each of the table rows. So let's use a variable that makes sense, which will be rows. And let's start that at 1. Now I know the number of rows must be less than or equal to 10. And then all I need to do is just to increment those number of rows each time through the loop. Now I need to echo out a table row. So echo out a table row. And I need to close that off. So echo like that. So we're opening the table row here, we're closing it here. And the reason we're doing that is because we will have another loop inside here. So inside here, I'm going to have another loop, and this is for my columns. So for something to be true, I'm going to do something. And in here, this is my columns is equal to 1. And then columns is going to be less than or equal to 10. And then columns again, we want to increment by 1 each time through the loop. And the last thing to do in here is just to echo out a table cell. So echo out a TD and semicolon on the end. Now, if we go across to the browser and do a quick refresh, obviously we shouldn't see anything on the screen, but if I just do a quick right click and inspect, we'll have a look at the code inside here, table body, and there we have the 10 table rows, and inside each of those, we've got the 10 cells. So the last thing to do really is just to style those. So the first thing is let's target the TDs. I want a height. Let's have a height of 50 pixels. We'll go for a width also of 50 pixels. And let's go for a border. Now the border will be 1 pixel. It will be solid. And let's go for it being black. Now, the next thing to do is obviously to include that style sheet within the index.php. So the way we do that is we have a link. The relationship is going to be a style sheet. And the href, the link URL, is going to be equal to style.css. And we'll just close that off and go back and refresh. And there we have the table. But as you can see, we've got this gap in between each of the cells. And that's the thing I said we need to watch out for. Now, the way we deal with that is by collapsing the borders. So in the style.css, we target the table. So table, what I want to do here is a border collapse. So border dash collapse, and I want to collapse that. We'll go back, refresh, and there I have the 10 by 10 grid. Now, hopefully you didn't find this too challenging. It would be nice in the comments below if you let me know how you found the challenge. Was it easy? Was it intermediate level? Or was it quite advanced and you struggled? That will give me an indication of the level of challenge that I need to target for you. If you enjoyed this video, then you know what to do. Hit the thumbs up. And if you would like to be notified about any future videos, remember to subscribe and to hit that little notification bell. In the description below, you will find links to all of my courses, many of which are free, so I'd urge you to take a look and to benefit from all of those free tutorials. If you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the discussion area below. I do check them daily and I will try and respond to every single one.